The Lament Configuration. Obsolete. Irrelevant in an age when desire has become amplified, but where lust can be sated electronically. We need something more than just a wooden box. G'day. I've been working on and off various iterations of this puzzle design for at least a couple of years now, and I'd like to give an update. The design has taken a number of branches and turns, and this represents the current state of the art, or what I consider to be the best option if you're looking to print this. Having experimented with various degrees of print in place or some assembly required, this is what I've come up with as an appropriate balance. 2 main interlocking halves with print in place locking mechanisms, an internal sliding core which also has a rotating element, and finally this optional sliding collar which is required for enabling the more difficult challenge. Do you dare enter the labyrinth? The puzzle itself consists of 3 separate maze paths which interlock through an internal invisible moving element. As an exercise in self-restraint, I give you a fighting chance by making one of these paths a trivial straight line, for now. One feature omitted from this design is an internal storage compartment, though perhaps a secret message may be inscribed on the internal faces. In a sense, it is more of a puzzle cube than a puzzle box, much as a Rubik's Cube cannot hide a stash. Instead, I've used the internal space for a telescoping spring-loaded mechanism. Using a 5mm diameter spring, 150mm long, gives it a satisfying self-opening action, reminiscent of on-screen appearances. One issue this presents is how the spring tends to bend outwards as it is compressed. Those familiar with the franchise may recognise this artefact, which seems a somewhat appropriate solution. Firstly, make sure all moving parts are free and do not bind at all. Work them back and forth until they are completely loose. This is very important as it's not going to get easy to move them once assembled. Assembly is a bit of a puzzle in itself. Starting with the longer half, insert the optional sliding element and using a pair of pliers or manual dexterity, navigate the maze to the starting point so it sits flush on the bottom with the outer tabs downwards. Next, place the nail in the shorter half. I'd actually recommend gluing it in place if it is not already a tight fit. Make sure it is well centered. Then place the spring in either of the 2 halves. Now the trick to installing the core is to first ensure that it freely rotates and align the fins vertically, taking note the end the internal slider meshes with faces down. Place it in the first half and rotate into place. Pull back out and rotate the fins to align vertically once again. Now the 2 halves can be combined by aligning the spring in each end, pushing together and rotating the remaining fins into place. Now we just need to get everything aligned to close the box and lock it. Start with the internal slider slotting into the core, then align the top dial to close the box. Finally, to lock, turn the top dial 180 degrees clockwise, where it should be possible to turn the bottom dial anti-clockwise from below, and continue alternating top and bottom in the same direction. Simply reverse these movements to unlock. Take it. It's yours. It always was.